Okay, it's 6 o'clock, so we're gonna go ahead and start the presentation. This meeting is for, this virtual public meeting is for the 2019 residential street reconstruction project, specifically the areas around Lido, Balboa, and Olympia. As an introduction, my name is Kyle Pedigo. I'm the project manager from the Capital Improvements Department for this project. We also have Rachel Wood, who's the deputy director for our department, and Becky DeVinny, who's the director and city engineer. From public affairs, we have Stephanie Yates. She's our engagement coordinator, and I believe Stephanie Trammell, she's our public works inspector. She should be joining as well. For the agenda, a brief overview. We've already done the introductions. We're going to go through some reminders about the virtual community meetings, a background and why we're here, go through the meeting presentation, and then we'll open it up for questions and feedback. So as a reminder, all attendees are muted and videos are disabled. After the short presentation, we'll open this up to questions. So the Q&A, they'll be answered to the best of my ability in the order they're received. Sometimes the raise hand, I can't tell who's first on that. So you can either select raise hand to, if you would prefer to speak, or if you'd rather type in your question, you can add it to the chat function of the meeting. So a little bit of background on why we're here for this meeting. So during pavement removal operations on both Lido and Balboa, the contractor and public works inspections made a field change due to concerns about vehicle access through the construction zone. When that change was made, it was not communicated immediately through the Discuss Denton website. So not everybody was aware of the change, and it came as a bit of a surprise. I happened to be out of town when the change was made and wasn't able to get the update done in a timely manner. The city's contractors also experienced widespread issues on this project and a related project with damage caused to Frontier Communications cable due to the shallow depth that's been installed at and the difficulty in locating these cables prior to the start of excavation. So the first issue to discuss is the traffic pattern change on Lido and Balboa. So I have two diagrams here. The top is what we had originally planned for the temporary driveway access through the construction zone. And the bottom is the revised plan and what we actually had the contractor install. So the original plan called for two directions of travel on a single lane. Going into this, we had concerns about traffic meeting head-on on that paved lane, which is a big reason we held the first community meeting directly before construction started, just to make sure everybody was aware of the traffic pattern change. After the contractor was on site and we started looking at all the driveways, that plan didn't make as much sense due to the kind of limited access in that area and the slopes of the adjoining driveways. So if you look on the top plan, we have temporary ramps leading down from the driveway into the lane that was removed, and then up onto that pavement edge. So there was became kind of a big concern with vehicles bottoming out in that because of the slope of everybody's driveway. So the revised plan, what we ended up doing was removing all the pavement, which allows travel in both lanes. So by doing that, it was a little messier with driving through the construction zone on the subgrade, but that should be just about that issue should be just about relieved, as they did the lime mixing yesterday and they should be ready to pave early next week. The benefits, what Public Works and the contractors saw on site as the benefit is that it eliminates most vehicle conflicts because it allows travel in both lanes. So there's smaller sections where the contractors are working for vehicles to go around the work area instead of going on the entire roadway as two directions of lane travel on a single lane. It eliminated that danger of that pavement edge. So a concern we had is with people pulling up, if they're coming around a blind corner and you have a head on, if somebody pulls over into the construction zone and they aren't at one of those temporary driveway ramps, they could go off of the edge of the pavement there. And it also reduced the risk of a bottom out. So vehicles were less likely. We were able to put in a little bit larger ramps coming off of the driveways, and where the vehicle didn't have to go up onto the old pavement, that reduced the risk of a bottom out. The second thing we want to discuss is the Frontier cable strike issue that we've been having, not only on Lido, but a couple other streets on this project. So I have a diagram here. It's the same thing. It's a cross section of a road. And what I showed in green is the proper installation depth of a telecommunications fiber or cable in the city. The standard is a minimum 36-inch, or 3-foot deep installation. So in the red is close to what we've been seeing on a lot of the installation of the services and some spur lines for the fiber. And the orange, kind of that orange bubbled area, is our standard, what we call it, kind of a utility conflict zone. So that's a zone where a lot of city utilities are installed underneath the roadway, drainage, water, wastewater. So back to the green line, that's the proper installation. The problem with that for telecom installers is it requires them to expose and avoid any utilities in the conflict zone. So when they're out there putting in services that, if the street's already in place and the utility is already in place, they have to cut a hole in the center of the street wherever a utility is located, expose it with a pothole, and visually ensure that it's not struck during installation of the fiber service, which is more time consuming and expensive. Or if there is a utility conflict in that zone, it's easier for them to go above it than it is to go below it and support the utility when they install their fiber. So the actual installation, a lot of what we've been seeing that's represented by the red line, that brings the cable right up near the surface. So it really it creates a conflict during small scale excavation that minimum depth is kind of designed to avoid. So when it's up right near the surface, when they take pavement out or when they mix for the subgrade, that cable is in the area that the contractor is excavating. The way that could be avoided is during locate. So the contractor is required to call in locates on these projects. They have the locating service come out and mark where all the known utilities are. Not all of this fiber, especially if they're fiber or cable, especially if it's a little older, some of it is very hard to trace, where the locator can't get a signal and trace where it's at. So we've been working with Frontier on this, and anywhere where we can tell that there's a fiber crossing, we've been working with them to let them lower it, to remove the pavement, let them lower it before we start any subgrade work. But not all of those can be identified through tracing. So we're working with them on not only on this street, but other ones that affected on this project, where we have a contact of theirs that I'll provide at the end of this presentation, for residents to get a hold of regarding service interruptions and service repairs. And like I said, we're allowing them, wherever we can find a conflict before it's hit, we're allowing them to get out there and lower it to minimize any service disruptions. Here's a brief schedule update. Again, this is weather pending. The forecast currently looks good, but we never know. especially as soon as pavement's removed. If we get rain, that really affects the schedule. So Lido and Balboa, we plan to have the base pavement, which is the first drivable surface, complete by September 17th. The curb and concrete replacement should be complete by September 24th. And then the final restoration, including the final surface course, any sprinkler repair, any sod placement, you know, for lawns disturbed by construction activity, should be done by October 30th. On Olympia, the base pavement should be complete by September 21st. The curb and concrete replacement should be complete by the end of September the 29th. And then again, that area, the final restoration should be completed by the end of October. And then the next two streets on this phase of the project are Fox Hollow and Timber Ridge. And we have work starting the week of 9/27, so the end of September. They should be mobilizing out there with traffic control and start to do preliminary concrete replacement. So to stay connected, again, the Discuss Denton website is the primary kind of way we'll distribute news on this project. I have my contact information there as the project manager. We have Stephanie Trammell, who is our public works inspector. Stephanie's on site every day. So if you see a City of Denton public works truck, that's probably her. If you need to wave her down, or if you need to get in contact with her, her number's there. And then I also included Sean Carter, and he works for Frontier Communications as their operations manager. And he's the kind of the go-to if you're having issues with your service or there's continued disruptions, and he's the go-to to get answers from Frontier. So I'm going to go ahead and open this up to questions. I see we just had one come through the Q&A. I'll just address them as I can as they come in. Okay, I have, what was the purpose or need for this project, specifically Lido, to begin with? The purpose of this project was to replace the aging street infrastructure. The streets all through Denton were scored, and some of these streets were identified as in need of replacement. So these were part of the we call them the early out packages, the first package associated with the 2019 street rehab project. And then when work starts on Fox Hollow, will personal vehicles need to be removed from driveways? Before work starts out there, that vehicles won't automatically need to be removed from driveways, but when the apron in front of the driveway is replaced, the contractor will give notification through door hangers, and we can I can add a Discuss Denton update of the date that work's going to start out there, the exact date. But the contractor, they distribute a door hanger, and then they also will go and try to contact residents to let them know the exact dates when they'll be working on their driveway apron, so that would give time to move vehicles. And then as soon as the driveway apron's removed, it's as quick as they can get concrete, it's placed back, and driveway access will be reopened. I have another question here. Bell is a bigger need. I can't speak directly to that. I'm not sure if it's
Kyle.
Okay.
So I can just note that we've got several projects going on Bell Avenue right now. Currently, there's a water line replacement taking place between Chapel and Administration. That's scheduled to be completed by the end of this calendar year. And we've currently got a work session scheduled with the City Council for September 28th to get some scope direction from the City Council on some proposed improvements to Bell Avenue and the corridor closest to Texas Women's University. So we've got a lot of work planned in that area. We're just working on identifying funding, finalizing the scope, but Bell is definitely an area of focus. We've actually established an entire program for projects in the Texas Women's University area that stretches down closer to downtown. So we will be prioritizing those projects over the next year and then getting those projects reconstructed based on the feedback we receive from the City Council.
Thank you, Rich. I don't see anything here outstanding on the type questions. I'll leave it open for another minute to see if we have any more questions regarding this project. And again, this has all been recorded and it will be distributed. So if you need the contact information, or if you'd like to see the diagrams of where we had the issue, you'll be able to pull that up. I had one question, but for Bell, North Bell is really bad and needs help up to Locust. I believe that's part of what we had been talking about, but at the same time, we can't, the way we have to look at these construction projects is we have to phase them. So, you know, if work's going on other parts of Bell, we can't continue to take that area out with closures through an entire street.
Kyle, really quickly, this is Becky. I'll add to North Bell also. We're happy to pass along those comments to our streets department and see where that's programmed in the work plan. And if there's an additional project that's going to be happening in that area. And the project Rachel was referring to earlier is everything really south of 380. So we will pass that sentiments along, Laura. Thank you for the comment. Sorry, Kyle, go ahead.
All good. I have another question from Jinsey. I'm having work done on my house. Where can they park? Depending on the phase of construction, the contractor out here has been very amenable to if you need special access, or if, for example, if you're having work done and you have contractors coming in, I can approach them. But if you see their foreman, if you see somebody in the SEMA truck out there, or you see our public works inspector, if you let them know, you know, the dates that the work's being done, they should be able to either open up an area where they can park on the street near your house if there's a material delivery, or we can work around, you know, when driveway access would be interrupted. You could also email me or call me with address and dates that you need that the work is being done, so we can work around that. I have a question here regarding the equipment being utilized has caused damage to the road on Bell, so that becomes an issue. We'll take a look at that. I'll get with Public Works and take a look. If the equipment that they're bringing in causes damage right, you know, at the intersection where Lido intersects Bell, then we can definitely address that with the contractor. Typically they take a pre-construction video that shows the conditions of the streets, driveways, everything in that area before they start work. So we'll reference that, and if there's definite damage caused, then we'd have the contractor address that before the project's over. From Mr. Broderick, are there any more days that the entire street will be shut down on Lido? There shouldn't be. Now that the mixing is done, they have base pavement to place, but the base pavement should only be placed the one lane at a time on the street. So I don't think there will be any full days that the entire street's shut down. There will be, while they're placing pavement, there will be increased construction traffic to get the asphalt trucks in there to get everything completed. So that day that pavement's placed, it will be a little slower, but access should still be maintained throughout that day. And another question, North Bell has had issues for a while with service ditches settling. When Windsor was redone, the truck traffic basically destroyed the street. That's part of what I'll check with Public Works as well and Street Department, and we'll make sure that, like I said, that if this project really negatively impacted the street, we'll address that. And then, will Timber Ridge ever be closed completely? No, it shouldn't. The reason we had this issue on Lido and Balboa was because they were both of those streets are dead ends, so they ended in a cul-de-sac. Typically, what we've seen on other streets in this project is we'll only shut one lane at a time. So the traffic control plan will be updated through the Discuss Denton website, but the street will turn into a one-way with a detour for traffic. So instead of two directions of travel meeting on one lane, there's only one direction of travel for people to get in and out of the area. Okay. I have one here. The contractor told me yesterday that all of Lido from Bell to my driveway will be closed tomorrow, and then that the other half from my driveway to the cul-de-sac will be done on Saturday. Your version of half of the street and their version are different. Let me discuss this with the contractor. That's the area that they're working in, but it's the same as how you're driving now on the subgrade. I believe you'll still be able to get through, but that's the area that they'll be working in during that time frame. So if it's, if they do have a temporary closure during the day while they're working out there, it's not going to be a full overnight closure. That's what I was talking about, a full day closure. It would only be, traffic impacts in that area will only be during the day, during working hours during the day.
Carl, if I could add to that too, just so everyone understands, some of those situations when we have to close portions of the roadways are not only for the safety of the workers that are actually doing the construction, it's also for the safety of the residents. So I do understand it's an inconvenience, and also an individual might, like you're mentioning, Mr. Broderick, getting stuck in a certain area or a certain location. We will work with the contractor to make sure that they're aware of the different concerns that have come up during this meeting. Just want to make sure you all understand we're trying to do the best we can to coordinate with the contractor, and also make sure that we're being as open and honest with you, and you have all the communication we can. But ultimately, construction, it's an impact to you for a period of time, but at the end, we're going to have a result that I think you'll all be pleased with. So I do appreciate all of your patience.
I have one here. Where do we put trash cans? I can get with solid waste collection to make sure that we don't have any negative impacts. So it'll either be placed, off to the side. If you mean when the driveway aprons are replaced, it'll be just off to the side of the driveway. But I'll coordinate with solid waste to make sure that's correct. And then from Laura, what was the white material that was mixed into the soil on Wednesday? That was lime. It's a lime mixture, and they mix that into the soil to improve the subgrade. To when that lime is mixed in with the soil, it makes a much longer lasting surface for the asphalt to go on, and it prevents soft spots underneath the asphalt. And then another one from Mr. Broderick. We fully understand the importance. It's communication ahead of time so that people have the opportunity to park on Bell. I'll verify with the contractor right after this meeting, and then again tomorrow morning, and make sure that besides for the update given in this meeting, but that make sure that the contractor is very communicative, communicative on site for any traffic impacts that we're going to have moving forward. And then the agreed communication does need to be better. We agree, and that's the purpose of this meeting, and the purpose of the Discuss Denton website, so that we can keep communications open. And like I said, we'll work with the contractor and Public Works to make sure that any change of plan is communicated as soon as it happens. And I have one more here. Please make sure that the contractor understands door hangers tomorrow are the utmost importance if they're working Saturday. Yes, we understand that, and we'll reiterate with that with them, and proper door hangers will be distributed. How long will Timber Ridge take? I'm expecting their updated schedule to be submitted here within the next 2 days. And as soon as I get that updated schedule, since we had to change the phasing around a little bit, I'll add that on the Discuss Denton webpage for Timber Ridge and Fox Hollow. Okay, if we don't have any more questions, again, we have the contact information, so you can get a hold of me separate from this meeting. And again, we'll put our updates through Discuss Denton. Oh, we've got a couple more. Is Fox Hollow a street resurfacing project or something more? Fox Hollow is the same that's been done on Lido and Olympia. So it's street reconstruction, street and curb reconstruction, no utilities, nothing else associated with it. And then we have orange markings on our curbs. What does that mean? Orange markings are from the locators. Orange typically signifies telecommunications line. So if there's an orange marking, that means there's a telecommunications line in that area. Okay. I think we hit all the important points. And feel free to reach out if you have any other questions or concerns on this project.